Hey guys, since I'm not going to be here today, I thought I would just walk you through how to make this app that we're going to be making in class. It's called the GermGod app. Hopefully you guys took some time and you read through this introduction on why we're making this app and you watched this video. If you didn't, you'll want to pause and go back and watch this video. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into making this app. I will explain this as we get going. So what you need to do is click on Computer Science, make sure you're in 7th hour, click Classwork, and then click this link here in On Sites. It should say Thunkable, and it should take you to the starter code. And my blue button says Edit Project. You'll need to click Copy Project and only click this button one time. Okay. I've already got mine open, so go ahead and open up your project. I'll wait a little bit until you get it opened. Alright, so hopefully you got it open. If not, you can pause this video until you get the project open. What we're going to do is we're going to try to recreate this project here in Thunkable. So I'm going to kind of split my screen a little bit so that I can have this on one side. There we go. Then I'm going to have my Thunkable open on the other. Okay? And if I need more room, I can just go like that, which is totally fine. So right now I only have a screen, and my screen is actually called Screen 1, but I can rename mine Home. So yours might be called Screen 1. So if you want to change your screen, which you're going to have to, I'm going to want you to click where it says Screen 1, scroll over, click this pencil, and type in Home Screen, because this is actually going to be the home screen. So I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. Just remember, click where it says Screen 1. It should say Screen 1 up here. Click the pencil, call it Home Screen. Alright, so we're not going to be able to make this look exactly like this. Well, we could, but we're not going to want to spend that much time. So what we're going to do, we're just going to add a button, 3 buttons here. So I'm going to click the first. I'm just going to drag to where there's that little blue line is underneath the label, and I'll just let go. And if you're having a hard time seeing the blue line, you can actually come over here in your app tree. You can add a button. Again, just put it just like that. I'm just going to add 3 buttons because I know I need 3 buttons. Alright. So we're going to actually click on the very first button. We're going to change this text of the button to say waterborne diseases. And I'm going to click this pencil. I'm going to make it say waterborne diseases button. Okay. So here you can tell it's been changed here, and the text has been changed. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click here. I'm going to call this diseases associated with crowding. I'm going to change the text to that. Diseases associated with crowding. And the last one is going to be vector. Well, I guess I need to change the button name. And that's a lot. That's a mouthful. So I'm just going to call this crowding button. And I'm going to click the third one. I'm going to change the text here. Let's change this text to vector-borne diseases. Oh, I think that's one word. And we're going to change the button name. We're going to change that button to vector-borne button. Just like that. So we have 3 buttons on the screen, and we have a label. So if you want to kind of customize this, you can. Like if I click home screen here, I can change the background color like to black. By clicking black. If I click on label 1, I can change that color to white. And I could change these background color for each button, like we can make them red if we really wanted to. Let's go red. There we go. And I can do this same thing here. We can make this one red. Let's make them the same color. That way I don't have to go through and find the exact. And if you don't like the oval buttons, you can come down here where it says radius. You can take it to 0 and you can make them all squares. Just click on each button. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually give each button a little space because they're kind of all close to each other. So I'm going to give them a top margin of 10. Do the same thing here. Top margin of 10, then a top margin of 10. All right. So we have that taken care of. Really, really simple so far. So basically what's going to happen is when I click this waterborne button, it should open up the waterborne diseases screen. When I click the vector-borne diseases button, it should open up the vector-borne diseases screen. And when I click the diseases associated with crowding, it should open up the diseases associated with crowding screen. So that's what we're going to work on making. So we're going to actually need some screens. And I'm going to start with making one screen. And it's going to be a blank. And we're going to hit next. And up here in my app tree, you can see I have a home screen now. And I also have screen 1. I'm going to click next to my home screen. There's this little black arrow. I'm going to close that because I won't need it. And I'm going to click on screen 1. And I'm going to actually rename this screen by going to the top of my properties pane. And we're going to call this diseases associated with crowding screen. So I'm going to click the pencil. I'm going to go diseases. Well, that's a lot. Let's just call it crowding screen. There we go. That way I don't have to type in all of that. So then we're going to try our best to make this screen here. So we need 3 buttons and a label. So I'm going to actually add a row first. And I'm going to add a button inside that row. So I'm just going to drag the button inside the row. And we can tell the buttons inside the row because the row now has this little drop down menu. If I click that, it goes away. So I'm going to keep on my row. And over here where it says the height for row 1, we're going to change that to fit contents. And we're going to change the horizontal alignment to left. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to add a label. And so this one's going to be really tricky. You're going to make sure when you drag your label, you drag it underneath your row, not inside. So you see how the red is beside the row? That means I'm dragging inside the row. That's not what I want. I want it underneath the row. And I'll let go, and there's my label. I'm not going to rename my label, but I am going to rename my button because I didn't finish my button. So let's click on the button. Let's click the rename. We're going to call it back button. And let's change the button text to say back. It should take us back to our home screen. Now we're going to click our label. And we're going to set the text to diseases associated with crowding. And we can make this bigger if we want, like 30. Text align, we can make it align to the center. And we can actually make the font weight, let's make it bold. And you can, once again, if you want to change the colors of this, you can. You can change the background colors. I'm not really worried about it right now, but you can if you want. And I'm going to add 2 buttons now. And I'm going to add the buttons underneath the label. And I can just really just click and go like that, or I can just click and add it right here. Just pay attention to where that blue bar is. So the blue bar is underneath the button, and that's where I want it. Okay. So now I'm going to click on the first button. I'm going to rename this to measles button. And we're going to change the text to measles. And we're going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit. We're going to give it a bottom margin of 10 to put some space in between these, and a top margin of 10. Okay. And see here, that should be good. So I'm going to click on my second button now, button 2. I'm going to click to rename button 2. This should say meningitis. MENINGITIS button. I'll make sure I spell that right. And we're going to make this say meningitis, MENINGITIS. And so now we have this set up. And if you still don't like the way it looks, if you want to move this one up to the top, we can always just go down and just give it a margin, a bottom margin of like, oh, that's too much. Something like that, but I'm going to leave mine like that. I think it looks all right. Not a big deal. It's not exactly like this. But I am going to make these button squares. Because I have square buttons on the first screen. All right. And you can always change the font size. Make it 20. 30. It's kind of up to you. Probably do 25. Let's go 5. There we go. All right. So now we're going to do a little bit of coding. And we're going to start with our back button. So we're going to go to blocks. And I'm going to click the back button, sorry. When I click the back button, I want it to go back to the home screen. So I'm going to click Control and navigate to home screen. Okay. So then I'm going to click on my home screen. And I'm going to go, I believe that's diseases associated with crowding. So that should be my crowding button. When it's clicked, I'm going to click Control. I'm going to get the navigate to, snap them together. Let's go to our crowding screen. Okay. So then I'm going to live test this because we want to make sure it works before we move on. So I'm going to live test it. Looks a little different because my screen is kind of not big. Let's make it big. There we go. So if I click my crowding, it should take me here. And if I hit back, it should take me back. And once again, if it's too big, you can always go back to design and you can change the way it looks. Right now, I'm kind of happy with it, so I'm not going to change anything. So I'm going to click on my crowding screen, and we're going to go ahead and code the rest of this. So we do want it to say, when I press the measles, it needs to play the measles audio. So I'm going to actually add a sound file. There we go, sound. Drag it on here. And it should add it to my invisible components. And I actually do have my sound. I'm going to close these screens real quick. These are my files, and these are all MP3s, so they're going to be able to play. So I'm going to go to blocks. And I'm going to click when I play the measles audio. When I click the measles button, I'm going to click sound. First thing I want to do is I'm going to want to set the source to the measles audio. Then I'm going to want to play the measles audio. So I'm going to go sound 1, play. So now if I live test this, if I press measles.
Measles is a highly contagious respiratory infection caused by a virus. With measles, you can have a total body skin rash, flu-like symptoms,
so that
and high
plays the
fever.
measles audio.
There's no specific treatment for measles other than drinking plenty of fluids and getting lots of rest.
So we can exit out of that. So that plays the measles audio. And I pretty much wanted to do the same thing when I press the meningitis button. So I'm just going to duplicate this. You right click and hit duplicate. If you can't duplicate it, you can always just click on meningitis button, drag out the click. We can always just click on sound 1. We can set the source to meningitis. And then, of course, we can call sound 1 play. You can duplicate that in case you want to go back and find it. So now when I live test,
bacterial meningitis is a contagious viral infection that causes inflammation of the membranes that cover the brain and spinal cord. People who have bacterial meningitis will experience headaches, fever, fatigue, irritability, and a stiff neck. Bacterial meningitis is treated with intravenous antibiotics.
All right, so that works. So I'm almost done. The only thing I need to do is finish the document or finish the app. Trying to figure out how I can get this done without switching back and forth. It looks like I'm going to have to switch back and forth here. We can take that back. Let's minimize this. There we go. So we're going to just do the next part of this. There we go. So to make this a little bit simpler, I'm going to scroll over a little bit to properties for my meningitis or my diseases associated with crowding screen. If you scroll over, there should be, and I click on crowding screen, I should get this folder to save it. So I'm going to click this. I'm just going to call this activity 1.1 and hit save. And now I want to go plus, copy from my screens, next. And I'll do activity 1.1, hit copy. And now it's going to have activity 1.1 as my screen. I'm going to change this because this is going to be my, let's go with our waterborne diseases screen. So we're going to call this waterborne diseases screen. Okay. And all we'll have to do is change the title and these buttons. So the title for my waterborne diseases would be waterborne diseases. So I'm going to change the text here. Diseases. And it's going to say, instead of measles, we're going to have to say cholera and ETEC. So cholera. Spell that right? Nope. CHOLER. And I'm going to change this button because it's not the measles button. It's going to be cholera button. There we go. And I'm going to change this. Instead of meningitis, it's going to be ETEC. So let's change this to ETEC button. And we're going to change this to ETEC. There we go. And the back button is coded right, but I need to click on my home screen and go to blocks. And I'm going to right click and duplicate this. And we're going to say when waterborne diseases is clicked, we're going to go to the waterborne diseases screen. Then I can click on the waterborne diseases screen. It already has the code for the back button and these. See, it says cholera button and ETEC button, but the sources are wrong. So we're going to change this source to cholera and this source to ETEC. So that's two screens, so I got one screen left. And so I'll let you do the other screen. Only thing you should have to do is, like we did before, duplicate the screen, go to design, and change the names of these buttons and labels. All right, if you have any questions, just drop me a line in Google Classroom, and I'll try my best to answer. Thanks. Have a good day.